They say there is no place like home, and I certainly would agree with that, but I realize it's really not about the house itself. It has a lot to do with who's there. And you know, my home is really not my home when Carlynn's not there. And she's kind of gotten increasingly known, I guess, for some of her teaching, so she's doing more of these trips out of town to go speaking, sometimes at different states, different places, and she's gone, and that's good for those women's ministries that have her come in to preach, but it's certainly bad for me and my family. We don't like that. Things easily deteriorate and get chaotic and crazy and frankly frustrating when my wife is not around. Now, she knows that's going to happen, so she is in the pattern of making all these lists. And that's one of the things I love about her. She's so organized, and so she makes all these lists and she lays them out there on the island in the kitchen. And so I know what day it is, I look at what time it is, and I know what I'm supposed to do and where things go. And our kids all have their lists, and we know what's going on. And we do our best, but it's really not quite the same. We just can't wait for her to drive in the driveway and be back, and then our home is our home again. You know, Jesus really taught us that the Christian life is going to feel like that experience times 1,000. That is really a bit of what we should naturally feel when Jesus says, you know, when it comes to who I am, your king, I'm going to leave, I'm going to go receive this kingdom, and then I'm going to come back and set it up. That's what we've been studying here in Luke chapter 17, and we get a sense of that feeling of incompleteness with his departure. He even calls himself the bridegroom, and he speaks in terms of him being the bridegroom, and really our connection with him in his first coming, and even now in the interim, being one of being in betrothed or engaged. Now think about that. And to sense the fact that your life, in terms of one that has been relationally connected with Christ, is really not even completed yet until the bridegroom comes back and the marriage supper of the Lamb takes place, and we have the consummation of the kingdom. And all of those aspects of what he illustrates for us should naturally make us think, wow, this is a Christian life that should feel in many ways incomplete. They once came to Jesus and said, what's wrong with your disciples? They're not fasting. Not fasting like all these other religious and serious devout people. And he said, well, you know, when the bridegroom's with them, they're not going to fast. See, because fasting is often the impetus is pain and need, and it comes out of sorrowful situations. And he's, I'm going to be taken away, and then they're going to fast. And this is the norm for Christianity, and yet so often we're peddled and pushed and propagating, falsely this sense that if you become a Christian, everything's going to be great. No, I understand we have his instructions, and we have the Bible. We have even a sense of his comfort. We've been given his Spirit, and we have the great privilege to call out to him. We have the access to God through prayer, but it's not the same, and our lives will really not be at home until the bridegroom returns.